All right, thanks everyone for being here. My name is John Hazel. I'm one of the account executives here at Revelwood. I'm joined by my colleague Alberto, who will be showing you today's overview demo of adaptive planning here in a few moments. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to give you an idea of what to expect today, because expectations and agendas are always important. But firstly, I'd love to give you a little bit of an overview about Revelwood. We are a platinum business partner of Workday, and what that means is that we are part of an extremely select group of partners that help you evaluate and implement adaptive planning. We have over 25 years of experience, and the core foundation, what we're made up of, is a diverse team of certified, experienced consultants that bring decades of financial operations and system know-how. We've implemented over 150 adaptive customers over the past couple of years, and this number continues to climb. Not only that, but we've also helped existing adaptive customers with model enhancements, integration, support services, and one-on-one training. Now, I'm aware that some of you may be here because you have an active initiative to get into a cloud FP&A solution, and some of you might be here just to learn or just a little bit curious and dipping your toes in the water. Either way, we greatly appreciate you taking 15 minutes with us in the next few days just to have a quick chat and see what your current challenges are, if you have any feedback, and whether there's some resources we can follow up with. And I'll name a few at the end, but really good stuff. And an important thing to know is that the demo today is just really meant to give you a glimpse into what adaptive planning can do for you, and should be finished in about 45 minutes. During that time, everyone is on mute, but if you have a question, there's a Q&A button down at the bottom. Please enter it there. We'll try to get to it. If not, we'll make sure we get back to you via email or our follow-up 15-minute call afterwards. I only have a few slides before we get started with the demo, starting with this one. So adaptive planning is a place where you can do all your modeling, reporting, and analytics all in one place. So everything you need is in one solution, and it will act as your central source of the truth, if you will. So typically we're talking to finance teams, but of course we're pulling in general ledger data, but adaptive can connect to really any data source that you need it to, because at the end of the day, data is data, and you'll be bringing all that data together into one place to model and report on with confidence. And this slide gives you just an idea of some of the areas of the business that you can model and plan using adaptive, as it's not just limited to the top left with the core FP&A team, but many people in here. So you could really model out any operational area of the business that you want to adaptive. And just to note, if there is something that piques your interest, let us know, write it down, and we can revisit this for a future demo. So I'm sure you're thinking, wow, John, this is really awesome stuff, but what separates adaptive from the rest of the pack? Great question, everyone. Everyone's thinking alike. Now, adaptive runs on hyperelastic cube technology, which is pattern Workday technology, and this is a key competitive differentiator. I'm not going to talk to you about the technical specifics because it's just isn't that important, but the reason it is key, because it makes a solution scalable and able to have unlimited number of dimensions and unlimited number of versions and scenarios. And when your system needs more processing power, the system is intelligent and expands it and gives it to you. But what's equally important is that you have this power without losing ease of use and maintainability. As you'll see in the demo today, everything is extremely intuitive with drag and drop functionality so that the end users can own the system without assistance from IT, and really eliminate that hand-holding from finance with the budget owners. So really good stuff. And that's why Adaptive has almost 6,000 customers globally in all industries. This is way more than any of our competitors in the FP&A solution space. And I'm not too sure if you knew this, but we have a 95% gross retention rate. This speaks to the value of what these customers are getting out of Adaptive across all different types of industries, as you can see here, and this is growing rapidly. So we always encourage you to reach out to us for case studies. There's hundreds of them on the website, and we can provide these to you as well. Our commitment to innovation and customer success is recognized by the industry. It's a product that gets the highest user ratings and delivers business agility and time to change. And you can expect the software to be easy to use, implement, and maintain your business as it scales. Being ranked #1 in ease of use, customer experience, satisfaction, usability, and best ROI, this should make you very excited to see Alberto's demo now. No pressure, bud. So I'm going to hand things off to Alberto, and we're going to get started.
To begin, just share my screen here. It's easy enough to log into Adaptive. You just go to any web browser. Right now, I'm just using Chrome. Just it's pretty much one of the most popular browsers. But at the end of the day, Firefox, anything can be used. Once you log into Adaptive, it'll bring you right into the welcome screen that you're seeing right here. So this here is really just a nice area that I like to highlight, where you're able to just customize this, because it's not always necessary to see what's new and some of these links to these items here. Sometimes it's necessary to just see some kind of dashboard or any kind of visual as you log in. So just gives you that nice capability to just customize the solution. But to begin, I want to just quickly highlight the navigation menu that you're seeing here on the left-hand side. I'm predominantly going to cover a couple main areas, three main areas. The sheets. Sheets are really just where the user is going to go in and create their plan, or work on their plan, should I say. You have the ability to create unlimited sheets. You can compare these or make these almost to an Excel model. Will be all the different sheets that you're using for your plan, maybe all the different tabs within one massive file. So this is really just giving you that sense that no matter how many areas, how much detail you have, you'll be able to accommodate that in Adaptive. Assumptions. Assumptions are essentially just drivers that can be utilized throughout maybe different formulas in your plan. So you can define drivers like inflation rates that can be utilized globally across your plan, or maybe some kind of workforce driver that needs to be incorporated. So again, these are just some sheets that can be utilized as well. And again, something you'll hear me say throughout, that really scalable. You can create as much detail as you need to Adaptive. Then you have reports, right? So these are what I like to call the more standard row and column reports, where if you think about a very simple P&L report, where your rows are your accounts, your columns could be maybe a department, maybe your months incorporated in there as well. So, but it just takes all the data within your model and then giving you that report look, that standard look. But again, unlimited reports that you can create right there. Then you have dashboards, right? Dashboards are really just taking that same data that you're planning by, but instead of giving you those numerical reports, now you have those slick looking graphs, charts, things like that. So you really have a lot of capabilities here to get a lot of the end results out of it. Then you have things like consolidation. This is the engine that if you have any kind of need for true accounting consolidation, but intercompany transactions, eliminations, that's there for you. Processes and workflow, they kind of go hand in hand. This is where, if you have the need to bring in additional users outside of the core financial users, maybe budget heads, like a HR person that's gonna be working in the tool. This is a way that you can give them a guided way to work, almost like a task list that, if they're not going to be in the solution all the time, that allows them to just give them that pointed perspective, so they can just get right into it. Formulas, pretty self-explanatory. That's just, Adaptive is not just about hand coding numbers in. You can create those formulas. Can be extremely simple to very sophisticated. Modeling is really just, essentially the back end of Adaptive. This is where you'll be able to administer a system. And let me actually take you quickly in here just to show you what that can look like. And really, I like highlighting here is that, there's no real coding that needs to be incorporated within Adaptive and how you're going to manage the system. This is where users can create all their different versions, right? So you'll be able to create unlimited versions, best cases, worst cases, forecast versions, you name it. You'll be able to do that there, right? So if I just take you in here really quickly, you'll see a list of all those different versions that I have, at my disposal. So you have different ways to look at them. You can see all that detail there. So if it's just about creating a new version, you just go right into it and create that there. Your time strata is defined here. So most organizations look at details on a monthly level and then rolling up accordingly, quarters to years. But sometimes there is the need to plan at a more granular level, maybe to the 2 weeks or even down to the days. So you definitely have the flexibility to plan at any level, but then report as well in a different way. So again, really, really flexible there. The level structure, let me actually go in here as well. The level structure essentially is the way you want to look at your organizational hierarchy. So this simple example is really just showing, one main company with multiple companies below that. Then you can see the structure below there, just going down to divisions, and maybe countries or locations, states, what have you. Then you get down to the lowest level. These could be determined to be things like your departments or cost centers, or even, if you're planning by projects, these could be projects. And all the data is actually captured at this level, at this lowest level. And then everything just aggregates up automatically. So you never have to worry about creating formulas to roll up, as is typical in Excel. But also, as I mentioned before, no coding is necessary. So as you grow, maybe you add another department or something like that, you'll be able to just quickly just add it there. Let me just show you how you can do that. So just add this here. I'm just going to call this new level for demo, just to get something in there. And you can see how it rolls up, and you can pick and choose how and where you want to roll up. Save it down. And now you can see it right there, instantly there. So now it's going to be added to your plan. Obviously, it's going to be blank because nothing has been brought in via integration. But now as you have that in there, now as integration comes and brings the data in, you'll have it there. So I'm just going to actually remove this here just to kind of get out of the way for the demonstration. But that's, again, how simple it is. Nothing is scary in the modeling section, right? Everything's just straightforward. And then you have your dimensions, details that fall outside of your structure, attributes, which are really just descriptive tags or filters that you can use as you plan, which also gives you the flexibility to, report in different ways. And we are incorporating your general ledger accounts, right, from any ERP, GL that you have. You have metric counts that you can have brought into Adaptive. So again, a lot of detail you can incorporate. So again, nothing scary in the management section that users can take advantage of. And then you have the ability to, as I mentioned, define different security rights, incorporate your integration capabilities. So you really have a lot of options there at your disposal. But to begin, as I mentioned, the real core of the solution are the sheets. So I have a couple of sheets here I want to share with you. So there are 3 types of sheets that you can create in Adaptive. This is the first type. This is what we call a standard sheet, but all 3 types of sheets are going to be Excel in nature, meaning that they're all going to have a grid kind of feel, as you can see here. Makes it pretty comfortable. But let me walk you through here some of the details that you have at your disposal. Here you can also see some of the foundational elements that exist in Adaptive, which also is why everything just flows seamlessly throughout. Here you can see that time strata, right? So here's monthly. Again, if this is something you want to look at by days, you'll see every single day here. Here is your version element. So all the versions you've created, you're simply there, or they're there for you to simply click on it and change the perspective that you want to work on. And then you have your level structure, right? So again, that roll up that you've created that's unique to your organization is there. And again, I'm at one of my lowest levels here, and that's how we can start adding some details. So let me walk you through what's going on here. So first, you can see these green numbers for these first 3 months. These represent our actuals. Because we are in our forecast version, that's why you're seeing this here, which is really nice because a lot of solutions, yes, you'll be able to see the actuals, but only see them in a report. Adaptive, as you can see, of course, you have them right there as you're working, which is really nice because it allows users to utilize those numbers right away to maybe determine and give them some guidance as to how they want to, continue working on their current plan. So again, and as more actuals come in for, say, April in this instance, it'll overlay on top of these numbers, and then you'll now have 4 months of actuals and the remaining months of budget instantly, right? So very, very nice there. Then you'll have these grayed out numbers. These just represent numbers that are either based on some kind of formula that people don't want to be able to change. So they're grayed out and locked, or they could just be based off of another part of the solution, maybe some kind of supporting schedule. And I'll actually pivot back to this to kind of give you some insight as to what I mean by that. These blue cells are just subtotals, totals. The white cells that you're seeing here, these are just items or areas where you can actually start doing some manual inputs. I'm just going to enter some very random numbers here, just type them in. You can copy paste them in, or you can take advantage from pretty nifty capabilities that Adaptive will give you. Maybe every number has to be the same thing throughout the year. So just copy these forward. Not everything is going to be set that straightforward. So maybe you do know what the total year number is going to be. So that is what you want to actually update. So here, I'm just going to enter in some random numbers here. Once you hit enter, it gives you the apply breakback method. This just shows some of the intelligence that's already predefined within Adaptive. So this gives you some options how you can break this total number back. So it's on proportionally. So it's really just saying take this number and break it back across the remaining months of budget. Because this is a forecast version, this here is just going to take that number, subtract those actuals from the total, and then break back that amount across the remaining months of budget. But a lot of the times organizations actually like just take looking to what the trend was last year and then use that to go forward. So that's that's proportionally using last year's values represents. These are some other predefined methods that are available, but you can also create your own unique way of breaking that amount. So a very simple, typical breakback method that people like to incorporate might be some kind of seasonality that they know that they encounter. So you'll be able to utilize that seasonality way of breaking that back. But if your organization doesn't have a standard or typical seasonality, but you do know of a particular trend that's interesting and you want to kind of see how that looks, you can create it and utilize it. So I would just click OK, saves it down like this. Really like showing you how fast that is to save, right? So a lot of solutions, again, it's a batch process. Will take a few minutes here. It's just going to save the data here and save it down instantly. So really, really fast how that works. Some of the items that I want to highlight for you. Well, one, I like to show this piece here, these display options. This is just a way that you'll be able to see that how many years you're able to play with and how many you can define within your plan. So you'll be able to bring in as many years of history that you want to, but also go forward into the future for your projections. So if right out of the gate you want to do a 5-year forecast, you can just define that 5 years, but keep going if you really are interested in looking at that detail. You're also able to compare two versions to each other on the screen. So that's also could be very helpful when just working going through the process, seeing what it will look like, more one version versus another. So very nice there. And if you even want to incorporate a very simple graph here, spark line. So as you make some changes, you'll just see how it goes up and down. So just bring that in here. Now you can see again, I'm making changes, but that's how you'll be able to see that. And that's nice because different people might want to look at their working screen in different ways. So everyone's not going to be forced to be working in the exact same view as a lot of those solutions force people to do. You can also see these blue tick marks that are all throughout. These actually represent that there are formulas within that cell. So what I just highlighted up here up top, that is the formula. And the key with the formulas in Adaptive is that they're going to be defined in the language that you're accustomed to from what your accounts are called in your GL, in your ERP. In our instance, our example here, this is really just saying that this telephone expense is based on this simple formula, like an A times B, going after personnel account for FTE multiplied by one of those assumptions, right? Those drivers. So that's very, very powerful. And they're dynamic because if this is based on some kind of FTE, so as your organization grows, as you can see, that's going to go up and down accordingly based on how your headcount, your FTE moves. And then same thing, if you just want to create a change, maybe do a what if that telephone assumption is going to go up, maybe a couple dollars, or maybe you want to do a percentage increase, you make that change. Globally, it's going to impact every formula, every department that's using it. So again, instantly gives you that kind of flexibility there. Also, this is a nice way to kind of show you one of my favorite parts of Adaptive that is really, really slick. If I right click here and go into this Explore cell, this is really just highlighting and showing the user exactly what's going on in that cell, right? So it's telling you obviously what account it's in, how it rolls up. This is based on that simple formula that I mentioned. And there it is, FTE times a headcount, times a telephone assumption. And there it is. So if you click into it, follow that bouncing ball. So this is the FTE. This is here now telling you that this is showing us all the headcount that goes into that particular department that sells north. So we can even see that you can even take into account partial head because you're able to incorporate the calendar. So depending on when they start within a month, there's not a full head count for that month. So again, has that intelligence built right in. So that's a nice capability that you'll have within Adaptive. So as I mentioned before, also, you can see here, this little red tick mark. That just means that this is a note, right? So it's very simple, almost like you would do in Excel, right click it, add a note. So that's how you'll be able to get that. And what's nice about these notes are that they carry throughout the system. So if that is a note that you want to include in some kind of report, that will appear in said report. So again, very, very slick how that can work. And it's going to give you the information at that intersection of data, meaning at that version, at that level, at that date, and at that account. So just gives you all that detail there. But as I mentioned, let's come back to that salary account. So let's right click in there as well to get a little bit of information on where this is coming from. So again, explore cell once more. So now it's showing you it's even that simple, right? Going after just an account. So it's saying take all the personal salary within that account. So let's again follow the bouncing ball once more. So just like you saw the FTE, it's the same thing, those same people, but instead of the FTE, you're seeing the value of their salary. But this also allows me to dive right into where this information is coming from, which is my workforce plan. So let's go in there. So this is the second type of sheet that you can create in Adaptive. This is what we call a model sheet. For me, this is why Adaptive is extremely powerful and why it gets adapted throughout adopted, throughout an organization. This is why it gets utilized by everyone, not just focused on the finance team. Something like workforce, I would imagine, just to be, take a guess, HR, someone in HR might be really focused on this. But the key here is that someone in HR might not really care too much about the accounts, as you saw that standard sheet is based on. To them, to these individuals, they might care more about things like their roster. So you can see, you can be able to plan their workforce by named individual or by positions, if that's the way you want to look at it. You can define things like titles if you have a lot of titles, so you can filter by these details, report by these details. But the key to note here is that every column that you're seeing here, every dimension is customizable to fit what you need these to look like. And every model sheet that you create, doesn't matter for what it is, for an expense, for revenue, for a supporting schedule, you're customizing it to the way you need. So, but then you have other items, right? Now you have, again, if you have employees across different states, you can incorporate all those specific details, but these are really just, like a pick list that you're choosing data. I'll actually in a moment show you where this information, how you can see the results and where you can see the information coming from. But you can see your start date, your end date, right? Those are really critical when it comes to personnel. You have your benefits you can incorporate, right? Again, just pick the one, the appropriate cost is gonna be incorporated into it. Pensions, commissions, bonuses. You can see here, this particular employee, William Clark, actually is split across these two locations or these two levels. So it's a sense of an allocation capability. So now that person's time, all the details will be split accordingly. But you also have here, this is where you can see some of those results, as I mentioned a few moments ago. So now you can definitely see, again, the head count, right? Because this person's been there the entire month, so it keeps going. The salary, she's on salary, so it's gonna be the same. Now you can see social impacts, the Medicare, the taxes. Again, these are seeing the results, and then in a moment I'll show you where these details are actually going to be pulling from. And you can just keep going to as many years as you have in your plan, but also some intelligence that you can see here that you can incorporate is defining some kind of max or a cap, right? So we all know social does have that cap, and sometimes in Excel, managing that can just be a little too granular, and sometimes you might not, even attempt to do it. You just kind of, guess it and just kind of define what it is. Here you can get extremely granular because you can define what that cap is, and once it reaches it, it'll drop off automatically. So again, really, really powerful there. So that is some of the key concepts that you'll be able to incorporate within Adaptive when it comes to personnel. But as I mentioned, let me bring you back into some of these assumptions. So this is where you're going to see these assumptions that I was talking about really quickly. You don't have to have your workforce assumptions separated in 2 different sheets. You can have them all in one if you want to. It's just nice to kind of have them separate, especially if some people are responsible for these, other people are responsible for these. So that way they don't step on each other's toes. But that way it's just a good way to work. But here you can see these is where you're defining, the standard raises, the month, commission payouts, 401k, things like that. Whereas this one here shows you what your health benefit plan costs are. Again, you can define what those are, call them specifically to what you want. You see some of the payroll tax amounts, things like that. There's that social cap or the max. So again, now you can have that same detail. Maybe you want to create a what if. Do you think these items are going to go up, a particular amount? So you can start playing around with those details. But again, once you define these, then you go into that workforce sheet. You just pick and choose the appropriate items that you want, and it just drives those results. So automatically is there for you. So it gives you that granularity. So that's a little bit of the expenses, the standard sheet, and now the model sheet for the workforce. Now let me show you the third type of sheet. So this type of sheet is what we call a product revenue sheet. So it's a cube sheet. So at the end of the day, this is more of you can almost consider this like a pivot table. You can see all the details here. You can see your level structure. These 2 items here are dimensions, right? So again, the dimensions are just details that are critical to your plan. They might not fall into your structure, but are definitely necessary. So in this instance, right, we're able to plan by, our sales details, our units, right, times the price, and they're all done by by customers, by products. And then you have these other details here. I think I mentioned these before. These are your attributes. Attributes are just those additional descriptive tags that might be necessary, which again give you the flexibility to, pivot, report, and just kind of slice and dice details in a lot of different ways. But down below, you can see some of the details, right? So it's your sales details, then gives you the formula to give you your revenues, your discounts if you have any there. You can also layer in any kind of cost factors that need to be incorporated. Here we have some just standard costs, right? Just materials, labor, things like that, freight for variable costs. Then of course, now you get the results of that, right? You get your profits, your margins, and things like that. So, but also here, this is a nice way that you can move things around. As I mentioned, this is a little bit like a pivot table. So what if you want to see the levels across the top and then have your days in different ways of looking at it? So let's move our levels to the month like this. So now you're seeing time is the filter. So now you can see all your accounts staying the same, but now you can see that breakout of all your structure. So now you can see everything all in one place, right? So just different ways to look at the information. Bring this back easily just to that default view. And you can even have other ways to play around, right? So if you come in here, maybe you want to look at this, I don't know, by products. So that's just another way to kind of just manipulate the screen to depending on what you want to look at. So now you're seeing at the top, now you're filtered by that detail, but now you're looking at all your products, your units, the products, by that customer, the prices accordingly by those products, discounts, and so on and so on. So just different ways to give you the flexibility to see what's comfortable and how you want to plan with an adaptive. And that's just really one of the nicest capabilities that you'll have within the solution. The next piece that I really want to highlight for you folks, let's back up a little bit. So now I'm going to really cover the 3 main pieces or ways that you can visualize and see reports in adaptive. The first way are our dashboards. Do I have dashboards here? Here we go. So these are our dashboards that you have at your disposal, and I'll even create one for you just to show you how straightforward and easy they can be. So here, you're also seeing those foundational elements that I mentioned earlier, right? Here you have your level structure. They're all right there. You have your time strata. If it's by days that you want to look at it, you'll absolutely see that, or just keep it monthly. And then you have your versions, right? So again, that's really nice because you don't have to recreate anything. If you want to look how these look by a different perspective, different version, it's just about picking it, and then you're going to have the details going to change for what you have there based on what's in those versions. But here again, you can just see some very simple examples. Here are just some budget numbers, just some financial details, your revenues, your expenses, actuals versus plan. So again, you can compare versions even within the dashboards, targets versus actuals, targets versus plan, right? So again, a lot of detail there. But one of the really nice things about Adaptive, it's that it's not just about interacting and bringing in data from just your general ledgers, your ERPs. A lot of organizations utilize CRMs like a Salesforce. So you can see here that you can still bring that data into Adaptive and utilize it for your visuals, and you can incorporate those as well into in your plan if it's necessary. But here you can see just some very simple Salesforce data, right? Your percentage won, your pipeline, sales history, opportunities, things like that. So really at the end of the day, it's the art of the possible. You bring in whatever you want to bring in. Sales data, KPIs, right? So again, at the end of the day, it's really powerful what you can bring in. Production information for any kind of manufacturing organization. So you name it, you'll be able to visualize that information within Adaptive. But it's also really nice to see how you'll be able to dig in to see more information, because you definitely want to see a little bit more behind the scenes. So let's just say we want to see what makes up the revenue here. So simple, click into one of these data points, and now you're instantly seeing what you'll be able to drill down to within Adaptive. And the nice thing here is that we don't have to build a drill path. You never will have to build a drill path. That is already set up once you bring in, all your data. You're implemented, you have the data, click into a data point, now you'll have everything available to you instantly. So now let's pick and choose what we want to look into. Let's see. Let's just go by location. See what that does. So it just takes that revenue stream and breaks it down where that revenue is coming from. So you can see it's come from all of these, countries. Again, if it's that location, or maybe you want to break it down by department, or maybe it's state or something like that, you'll see how that breaks out. Keep going down. Maybe you want to look at this by, I don't know, by customer. So now you'll see that all these customers are, are within, Great Britain. So just keep going. Maybe one more time. Maybe you want to go by products. So now you're seeing that customer is actually purchasing all these products. So the revenue is coming from these products into that customer, that location, and they're the total. So just by a couple clicks, you can go from the top of the house all the way to that lowest level that you're interested in looking at. So again, very, very powerful how that works for you. And one last piece that I actually want to highlight for you as well when it comes to the dashboards. Let me actually come back to a different dashboard here. I want to highlight for you what we call active dashboards. So this is a really nice capability that you'll have. So as you can see here, you're also able to embed an actual working screen into your dashboard, right? So you saw it before, just like this. I'm in this in the working screen here. So, but if you're in your dashboard and you're creating this and you don't want to go back out and then make a change to then see how that works, no, you don't have to do that. Just incorporate this particular whatever sheet you want to have access to, and then this is live. You make changes, you can add rows, delete rows. It's all based on which version you're in. So again, a lot of capabilities there. And as you make changes, all the different visuals that are tied to that particular data will update as you go along as well. So very, very slick. But what good would these dashboards be if they're difficult to create? Let me actually really show you how straightforward these can be. So I'm just going to create one new here. So I'm just going to go demo dashboard, just call something simple. So now we're just going to pick and choose the data where and how we want to display this information. So pick which part of your organization you want to, visualize. I'm just going to go to the top of the house. Again, here we go. Right here. So now this is where you're able to see all the visuals that are available to you, right? So column, line, by, par, donut, you name it. Let's just bring in a pie. So it's really just drag and drop. That is really how easy this is. So now we'll click into this little folder. This is going to show us all of our accounts that we have, in our plan. So obviously we're bringing in your GL accounts from whichever general ledger you're currently utilizing. So you'll see them all there. You're also seeing here that we can incorporate any kind of non-financial or metric account, KPI account, things like that, right? So the things that you're creating and defining. I mean, if you have some of those KPIs within your GL, obviously you're going to bring those in as well. But then you also can see modeled, cube, custom accounts. These two correspond to those sheets that I highlighted that we walked through a few moments ago. So as you create the data there, all that information is going to be available to you here. But let's just bring in some expenses here. So it's just drag and drop. That's how easy it is. So it's just giving us one big number, nothing really broken out yet. Let me show you here how to change details. So if you want to change the name, maybe just call this OpEx. Simple. Come in here. Now we're going to break this down by, let's just go by dimension, keep it straightforward. Now these are all our different dimensions that we have at our disposal, right? So again, you saw before we had locations, products, things like that. But again, let's keep it location. Just like that, it breaks out those expenses across the locations that you've defined within that dimension. Simple. And again, you're not restricted to just one visual at a time. Let's just bring in maybe KPI. Bring that in. KPI again is more of a metric. So we'll go down here. We'll see our metrics here. Let's just go working capital, but again, anything you want to. There we go. And then of course, maybe you want to bring in something like a waterfall or a donut or something like that. So waterfalls can be a little tricky to do when working in Excel. Here, the structure is already there to how to define it. And now you just want to pick and choose the account that you want to look at. So bring that in. Now you're done. And there it is, right? So as you can see, just hover over those items. You see everything kind of highlighted. Click into it, and now instantly have that ability to drill through to anything that you have in your plan. Same thing with these. So again, very, very powerful, very straightforward to work through. Never have to worry about, again, the coding that a lot of solutions are required to be aware of to create things like this. So very, very powerful. So that's some of the dashboarding capabilities, right? So again, you have the ability to have these visuals. You can incorporate or embed an actual sheet to make them even more dynamic. So really a lot of options there. And the second piece of reporting that I want to highlight for you folks, that is the standard reporting, right? So again, if I go back to that main page, you'll see all the different types of reports that we have. Again, unlimited reports, but really just want to focus and share with you one right here, right? So this one is just a very simple comparison report of just your different versions, your actuals versus one of your budgets. You can see in here that if you want to drill it down to a particular part of the organization, you can just quickly do that. You can see here, you can change which month you're actually in. And then you can see you can start picking and choosing which version you want to change or compare to each other, right? So you have that all there for you. But this is also a nice report to highlight because it really just shows you some nice options that you'll have, right? Especially seeing some of the conditional formatting that you'll be able to incorporate. So you can see, flags, check mark, things like that. You can even see highlights, right? Things like, yellow are usually probably acceptable, right? Those variances are kind of high, but yellow is fine and we can let them pass. But then you can even see we have a really extraordinarily large variance here. So it's red. So you definitely will stick out. This one definitely requires us to do some research and digging in. So let's actually look into it. So let's click into this account, right, to drill into it. So just like the dashboard, you have the ability to drill right into and see this number or these amounts through different lens, if you will. So let's just actually start with the level, look at it in that way. That's usually a good way to start. So it essentially kept that structure of that report, right? So again, if you're doing it in Excel, you have to recreate a brand new report and then kind of manipulate it and change your formulas to fix things. You don't have to do that here. It keeps it there, but it's essentially just pivoted, right? So now you're filtered on just this account, as you can see here. But now it's rolled up by showing you just my levels, right? So again, if it's your departments or cost centers or projects, that's what you'll see here. So now we're actually noticing that our sales north is where our main issue is, right? So this is where we can start doing some research, because really, if you're looking at this report now, maybe you're hit a bump in the road where it might take you a long time to do some digging in. This is where you're really going to be able to see a lot of information, right? And quickly. So let's just start with looking at our budget number. Click into that. This is also why I really like that explore cell capability, because now you're seeing that in here. So it's not just in the plan section, it's also allowing you to do research in your reports. So you can see that this amount is actually based on what this account was last year, multiplied by some kind of assumption for inflation. And there it is, right? So again, very straightforward. But that looks okay, right? That does not look like there's anything wrong with it. So let's click into our actuals. So now, this is also because we Adaptive can integrate with any general ledger out there, we can even see the transactions that are on that general ledger right in Adaptive. So you don't actually have to have a user to have access to whatever general ledger you're using to see this information, which is usually the case right now. Here you can see that, $1,000 hit for entertainment, $2,600 hit for a lunch, should have been booked for lunch, accidentally booked for way more than that, 2.6 million. So that right there is something that, might not be able to be found right away. If, say, you send out this report to maybe your accounting team and you say, go fish, right? Find it. We're all busy. So maybe they'll take them a while to get back to you. So instead of having to wait, you can just say, this is when this happened. Now you give them direction as to when it can be fixed. They'll probably be more readily available to fix it right away, but maybe they truly are too busy. You know when it is. If you have access to go into your general ledger, go right in, make the change, then re-import that information, that data into Adaptive, because again, you don't have to wait for the integration cadence to occur if it's nightly. If you want to just have it now, push it in now on demand, and your new numbers are gonna, you just come back into the report, refresh it, and the new numbers are gonna true up. So you're gonna have that information right there for you. So that's, again, really, really slick how that can work for you folks. And a lot of times, again, that's just some detail that, you'll see all the amounts that are there for you. Of these items here, the data points will be specific to what you want to bring in. But let me also show you how to create a report here in Adaptive. So here we go. So this is my canvas essentially, right? So now we're going to start building here. So accounts are typically, the starting point. So again, it's not just your GL accounts. Every type of account that you've created that you have is going to be available. So again, I know I have some expenses. We'll just bring that in. Maybe I also want to bring in some metrics into this particular report. So just bring a couple in here like that. Now for our columns, I want to create a very simple comparison report, but what do we want to compare? Let's see, let's compare versions, right? Very typical. So here again are the list of all of our versions. Let's just go with the forecast. Actually, start with the working budget. Start that way, the original. Maybe then bring in our forecast, but it doesn't really matter which order you want to put them in. Now we want to do our variance. So we want to do a calculation for our variance, which is a difference. So we'll drag those in here. I'm going to actually do this twice for this reason. Let me actually change the name of this. I should call this variance dollar. Call this variance percent. Make sure you flip this. Okay. So now we can add filters, because if you don't add a filter, it's just going to give you everything that you have, right? For all your entire company. If you don't want all of it, for all the years that you have in your plan, you probably don't want all of that. It's just going to be a mess. So let's actually add some more detail in here. So let's bring in how or what we want to look at. So again, your level structure is pretty typical. So again, if you do want to do the whole company, perfect. You just drag the entire company. If you just want to do a single part of your organization, you do that as well. But we'll just do the total company. The time, as I mentioned, if you want to define when you want this for, right, you probably don't want all the data that's in here. So we'll just pick the current year's data that we have. So this gives us the ability to now run this out. There you have it. there's your, again, just on your expenses. You just keep opening those up, all that details there. Here's your 2 versions and your variances. Oh, what if you actually wanted to be able to drill down and just look at this report by one, part of your organization? So let's show you how easy it is to do that, because you don't have to go through all those steps to recreate it. Just come in here. Let's just take the level structure and bring it over to the parameter. This is what's going to make it dynamic. So let's just run it once more. And there you have it. So it's still the same thing, but now you can see this level structure is now a part of the report. So now you can go down to another part of your organization. If you want to get down all the way to that sales north where we're playing with, do that, run it out, and then it breaks it down. So now you're just looking at that particular that level as you're looking at it. So again, that is how easy these reports are to create and to change on the fly if something was just forgotten to be included. So again, that's really something that our organizations really like about the reporting capabilities and Adaptive, that anyone can be able to create reports as long as they have access to do so, of course, and then they'll be able to just manage them, keep them personal to themselves, be based on their security rights if that's something that's been added to each individual user. But the real key is that you don't have to worry about formulas to aggregate things and manipulate things. It's just about picking and choosing what you want to look at. All right, so that was some of the standard reporting, if you will. And so to close it off, let me highlight our Office Connect capability, which is right here. Okay. So this is Office Connect. Yes, you can absolutely see that this is Excel. It's essentially an add-on, but it's not Excel in that traditional sense, right? Where if you have a report like this, it's going to be littered with formulas and things that are going to break, right? But if I click into this, you can see it's just a number. If I click right here, it says linked cells. You'll see a bunch of data points highlighted. This is all information, all details that are pulling directly from Adaptive, from the web we were just on, right? So that's where you're making all the changes or all the updates, and then here's just connecting to that web part of the solution, and you just refresh here when you have the new data in here. You could still utilize this as Excel, right? So if you want to create some kind of formula here within Excel, you can do that. So you get best of both worlds. But it's also really nice that this is just showing us up to February. What if March is now all set and you want to bring that information in? So this is a trailing 6, right? So once March comes in, then you're going to have to remove September and things move over. But you don't have to do any of that manually, right? Because I know normally if you're doing this manually in Excel, you have to insert columns, drag formulas over, delete columns. You're gonna have to do that for all of this, right? Because all of this information is up to date until you want to move it to March. So what you have to do here, come in here. So as I mentioned before, you can bring in data every single day. So if you want to look at what it is day by day, you can do that. But I'm just going to go to the end of the month, just like this. And then I'm just going to refresh all my sheets. And again, because this is a report that's just trailing 6, as you can see instantly, September dropped off, March popped in, everything just shifted over. So again, this is really nice how you don't have to worry about making changes and how you're gonna incorporate them and make those changes as well. And you can see all these other tabs, all these other reports, all the numbers updated as well. So again, you never have to worry about formulas breaking and things like that. But also down below here, we're missing some numbers. What if now we're good with these numbers and we want to bring these accounts in? So it's very simple to do so. Just come here. On the left, you're seeing pretty much the same details that you saw in the standard reporting within the web. So I'm just going to break this down by accounts. These are GL accounts. These are expenses. And here my OPEX. There's taxes all the way down to other. And all you got to do is drag that in here. And then just refresh. And just like that, all the data pops in there, right? So now you have all this information, save it down. Next month, next quarter, or whenever you want to see some updated information, you don't have to recreate anything. You just open it up, connect using your adaptive credentials, and then just refresh, and all the new numbers are going to update as you have updated them in the solution. But also something that's nice about Office Connect is that it incorporates the entire Microsoft suite of products, meaning Excel, as you're seeing here, PowerPoint, and also Word. So if you have to present these reports in a PowerPoint deck, that is going to link to Excel. So as you update this, then you'll go into that PowerPoint deck, and you'll be able to refresh, and all the new information will update automatically as well with that refresh. So very, very slick how that could work for you and whoever else is working on this part of the process. So that's one of the last pieces I wanted to highlight for you folks. I think that's kind of what I had. So I will stop my share. I will hand it back over to John. But thank you for your time. I do appreciate it, and I hope you saw a nice glimpse into Adaptive and how it could help you in your process.
That's awesome, Alberto, and thank you for walking everyone through that. Just so I'm gonna close up shop here. I hope everyone saw how powerful, flexible, and especially how easy Adaptive is to use with the simple drag and drop functionality. If you need more, we have plenty of resources we can make available to you, such as a one-on-one demonstration. Maybe there's something key in there that you want to explore a little further. I know we had a plethora of questions coming in and wanted to see more, so we can absolutely do that and speak to more of your needs. We can offer up ROI sessions to help quantify the value of this investment if you're curious if you're shopping the right aisle. And we also have a hands-on workshop. So if you want to test drive it, get the feel of it, we can do that, and even give you a hands-on trial too to play around in. So just let us know what makes sense for you when we connect in our follow-up meeting. Or you can reach out to me directly. We're happy to help you. We also encourage you to learn a little bit more about Revelwood and our implementation approach by visiting our website at revelwood.com. While you're there, we also encourage you to visit our Knowledge Center, where we offer tips and tricks about aspects of the planning process, technical tips on the tool, planning tips around budgeting process, and various tips on other business aspects of your FP&A model. So I really hope everyone had a great time today. We really do appreciate you attending. And one of my colleagues will be reaching out to set up a 15-minute phone call with you, and you can share some of your feedback and thoughts and things that you'd want from us to continue to help to support you. So everyone have a great day, and thank you for attending.